I had just moved into the seemingly tranquil town of Eldridge Hollow. The old Victorian homes, shrouded in fog and bordered by ancient oaks, whispered tales of yesteryears. It was the perfect escape from the chaos of city life, or so I thought. As I unpacked, the eerie quiet of the neighborhood settled around me like a thick blanket, almost suffocating in its stillness. Neighbors passed by occasionally, their faces oddly serene, their eyes a little too bright. I waved, receiving in return smiles that stretched too wide, their teeth glinting unnaturally in the dim light. It felt rehearsed, as if each action was a carefully choreographed piece in a macabre play. My curiosity piqued. I wondered about the stories hidden behind these closed doors and curtained windows. The town's charm was undeniable, yet beneath its picturesque surface, a palpable tension simmered. I felt watched, studied even, as though the residents were assessing my fit into their unusual community. Each night, as I lay in bed, the silence of Eldridge Hollow grew oppressive, filled with whispers carried on the wind, whispers that seemed to beckon me to look deeper. During my first week, I noticed small, bizarre incidents that seemed out of place. The local grocery store, a quaint building on the corner of Main and Elm, played host to these anomalies. Shoppers moved through the aisles with mechanical precision, their laughter a little too loud, their conversations snippets of normalcy that felt hollow. One afternoon, I observed a group of children playing in the park. Their games were orderly, their shouts muted, as if under some unspoken command. Even the dogs trotted along the paths with an unnatural discipline, their tails wagging in rigid, timed movements. It was as if the entire town operated under an invisible, stringent rulebook. The mailman delivered letters with a robotic smile, pausing to chat with homeowners. Yet his words seemed devoid of any genuine emotion, his smile never quite reaching his eyes. Each interaction was a mime of normalcy, a facade that barely concealed something far more sinister. This pattern of peculiarities left me restless, eager to peel back the layers of this meticulously crafted veneer. It wasn't just the precision of their movements that unnerved me, it was the smiles. Every neighbor, every passerby wore the same disquieting grin. It wasn't merely polite, it was plastered on, excessive and chilling. These smiles, they didn't reach their eyes, which remained cold, calculating. It was as though joy had been carved into their faces by a sculptor skilled in creating masks of faux happiness. One evening, I bumped into Mr. Thompson, the elderly librarian. As we exchanged greetings, his smile widened unnaturally, the corners of his mouth stretching too far. I joked about the weather, and his laughter boomed around us, hollow and echoing against the quiet streets. It was laughter that didn't belong. It was a soundtrack mismatched to its scene. Later, I described these encounters to my old friends over the phone. They laughed it off, suggesting it was just small-town charm, maybe a bit exaggerated. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that these smiles were a mask for something darker, something meticulously hidden. The question lingered in my mind. What were they hiding behind those eerie, unending smiles? Curiosity soon morphed into an obsessive need for answers. One restless night, driven by the chorus of unsettling thoughts, I decided to explore. The streets of Eldridge Hollow were bathed in moonlight, casting long shadows that danced in the cool breeze. Houses stood silent, their windows dark, the eerie calm more pronounced under the celestial glow. As I wandered, the sound of distant murmuring caught my attention. It seemed out of place, a dissonant whisper against the nocturnal quietude. Following the sounds felt like being drawn by a siren's call, each step filled with dread yet propelled by an insatiable need to know. The murmurs grew louder, a cacophony of hushed tones discussing something urgent. The trail led me away from the main road and toward the dense woods that bordered the town. The trees stood tall, their branches reaching out like the fingers of giants, the ground beneath blanketed with a thick layer of mist. As I ventured deeper, the air grew colder, the whispers clearer. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat screaming for me to turn back, yet forward I walked into the heart of Eldridge Hollow's secrets. Section 5. The Secret Path into the Unknown. The path twisted through the woods, gnarled roots grabbing at my feet as if trying to warn me away. The moon peeked through the treetops, its light intermittent, casting eerie shadows that seemed to shift and whisper among themselves. I pushed forward, driven by a mix of fear and fascination, the chilling embrace of the unknown pulling me deeper into the woods. Suddenly, the trees opened up to a clearing. In the center, a large old oak stood, its limbs stretched wide. Beneath it, a small decrepit shack, its wood groaning with the wind. It was an odd structure, seemingly out of place, yet it felt as though it held the heart of the town's secrets within its weathered walls. I crept closer, the murmurs now a tangible voice, calling from within. Peering through a crack in the wooden planks, the sight that met my eyes sent a shiver down my spine. A group of townsfolk, their faces illuminated by candlelight, gathered around a strange artifact. Their expressions were serious, the usual eerie smiles gone, replaced by a focused intensity. They chanted in a rhythm that matched the beating of my frantic heart, involved in a ritual that felt as old as time. Inside the shack, the air was thick with incense, the scent heavy and foreboding. The townsfolk, clad in robes that seemed to swallow their forms, stood in a circle. At the center, an ancient book lay open, its pages filled with symbols that danced and twisted before my eyes. The leader, a figure robed more ornately than the others, spoke in a language I couldn't understand, his voice both mesmerizing and terrifying. As the ceremony progressed, the participants' faces shifted, revealing brief glimpses of another reality. It was as if their human masks fell away, exposing something otherworldly beneath. My mind struggled to make sense of the visions, fear rooting me to the spot, hidden yet transfixed by the spectacle before me. This was no ordinary gathering. It was a covenant of beings that defied the natural order. The ritual reached its crescendo, the air vibrating with the power of their voices. Suddenly, the leader's eyes met mine through the crack in the wood. Time seemed to stop, his gaze piercing through the shadows, recognizing my intrusion. Panic seized me and I fled, the echoes of their chants ringing in my ears, a sinister lullaby that chased me back through the woods. Returning home, the weight of what I had witnessed pressed down on me. Sleep eluded me as I lay in bed, the images of the ritual replaying in my mind. The knowledge that my neighbors were not what they appeared to be, that the smiles and everyday oddities were but a facade for something far darker, was both terrifying and isolating. In the days that followed, I noticed subtle changes in the behavior of those around me. They seemed more watchful, their smiles now tinged with a hint of something sinister. I wondered if they knew of my nocturnal expedition, if they saw me as a threat to their secrets. The atmosphere of the neighborhood grew heavier, each day a test of my resolve to stay. Yet, there was also a strange relief in knowing the truth, however horrifying it might be. It provided a context to the oddities I had observed, a lens through which the behaviors of the townsfolk could be understood, if not accepted. This knowledge, dangerous as it was, had become a part of me, shaping my perceptions and interactions within this curious community. The revelation of Eldridge Hollow's secret has left me with more questions than answers. What is the nature of the ritual I witnessed, and what purpose does it serve? Are all the residents involved, or are there others, like me, who remain oblivious to the true nature of this town? The possibility of digging deeper both intrigues and terrifies me. There is also the matter of my own safety. Staying in Eldridge Hollow might mean living in constant fear, but leaving could be seen as an act of betrayal, inviting unknown repercussions from the community. Moreover, the allure of uncovering more about this hidden world holds a peculiar charm, a siren call that I find increasingly difficult to ignore. As I grapple with these thoughts, I realize that my life has irrevocably changed. Eldridge Hollow is no longer just a place of residence. It is a mystery, a challenge, and perhaps a threat. Whether to delve deeper into its secrets or to seek a semblance of normalcy elsewhere is a decision that weighs heavily on my mind, each option fraught with its own dangers and rewards. Eldridge Hollow, with its creepy smiles and sinister secrets, has become more than just a home. It's a puzzle that challenges every aspect of my reality. Choosing to explore this mystery further might unravel the very fabric of what I believe, or it might cement my place in this strange community. Either way, the journey promises to be as terrifying as it is compelling. Accepting the unknowns and the potential threats is not easy, but it is a part of the adventure that living in Eldridge Hollow offers. As I stand on the precipice of this eerie and unknown path, I am reminded that some mysteries, once unveiled, demand to be pursued. Whether I am ready for what comes next is uncertain, but one thing is clear: Eldridge Hollow will never be just another quiet town to me again. Subscribe for part 2.